The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
Happy Friday the 13th, everyone, and welcome to a special bonus episode of the show. As was tradition on my previous podcast, thus will it carry on via the Brandon Peters Show. Our Magic Hat has drawn 1993's Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday for this time around, and returning to continue our Crystal Lake conversations from JoeBlow.com and the all-new show Something Scary, just wrapping its first season, Jimmy O. James Oster.
You were very close. Sounds scary. And
God. Hold on.
But to be fair,
No. To be fair, my two guests ago, I had Something Scary. So hold on. Returning to continue our Crystal Lake conversations from JoeBlow.com and the all-new Sounds Scary, just wrapping its first season, Jimmy O. James Oster.
And we have actually a new podcast literally that started today called Something Stony. So there you go. Right. That may be, and that's just
I had Sabina Graves on a couple weeks ago when this airs, and she's on Something Scary. She's got that show. So all this scary stuff, but also introducing to you the co-programmer at Music Box of Horrors Drive-In and the co-host of the Halloweenies podcast, Mike Vanderbilt.
Hello there, ladies and gentlemen. Hello there, ladies and gents. Thank you for having me. I have been a tremendous fan of Jason Goes to Hell since I saw it opening day, Friday, August 13th, 1993, and I've been a big advocate of it ever since. So I'm happy to be on this show with y'all today. So they're going to have some fun.
And we're happy to have you. And thanks to friend Katie Reif for putting this together. That was awesome of her.
It was funny when she texted me because she does not enjoy Jason Goes to Hell as much as I do. And I know the Philistines,
heartbreaking.
Philistines. But I love the fact that she said, "Oh, but I know the guy that you want to talk to." Well, we programmed it. When I joined the programming team at Music Box of Horrors this year, because usually it's a 24-hour film festival at the Music Box Theater in Chicago, up in the Wrigleyville, Lakeview area. And we obviously couldn't do that this year because of COVID. So Ryan Ostrike, the GM of the Music Box Theater, was like, I want to do a drive-in in Pilsen on the south side, 31 nights of horror, double features on weekends. And the one movie I really fought for was Jason Goes to Hell, because it's a favorite of mine, and particularly with the release of the Shout Factory box set, I feel like it's having its Halloween 3 Season of the Witch moment
for sure
as we speak. And it was kind of my mission. It was a Sunday. We were doing sequel Sundays, and honestly, I'll be honest that the sequel Sundays didn't do all that well. It's I think mostly because it was a Sunday night thing, but we sold out Jason Goes to Hell. So I think there's a lot, and most of the audience hadn't seen it before.
Wow.
And I think people have been avoiding it because of its reputation.
Yeah.
But anybody who I tracked down afterwards, looking through social media to see how people enjoyed my event, my baby. Hey, what'd you think? I did get some interviews for the upcoming documentary from Adam Marcus about people who were there to see it.
Oh, nice.
Awesome.
Yeah. I think people really responded well to it. And like I said, I think it's having its moment right now.
Excellent. And you're, of course, obviously a fan of the franchise, but for you, people know where Jimmy and I began kind of with it. Where did you start off loving Friday the 13th?
Yeah, absolutely. So I joked that, somewhere between 1987 and 1988, I went from being terrified of horror movies to absolutely loving horror movies, with my mother buying my first issue of Fangoria, which I still have, which was Freddy Krueger on the cover advertising the Dream Master with the headline, Freddy's Last Movie, which we learned not to be true. So, and I just remember being aware of the Friday the 13th franchise. I remember being scared that I remember the neighborhood kids, we had a sleepover and everybody's talking about how they were going to rent it and we are going to watch it. And I was like, I'm not going to be able to handle this. And then somebody's mom put the kibosh on that, and we watched Star Trek 4 instead. But eventually, somewhere between 87 and 88, me and my mom, my sister settled down on some weeknight on Showtime to watch Friday the 13th, Part 5, A New Beginning. And we watched it, and we enjoyed it, and we were disappointed in a lack of Jason. Like a real.
You had no idea till the end.
So like the next weekend, like that Saturday or following Saturday, we rented the original Friday the 13th,
and we're
once again disappointed in a lack of Jason.
Is he even in these?
Yeah, right. What is this?
Did you go to 2 next and be like, "Where's the hockey mask"?
No, I believe that.
Like, I got pranked.
That's the best order I've ever heard of watching.
I know.
I believe the next one. I remember I'm 7, 8, 9 years old when we're doing this.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
I mean, my mom, like, she could be like, fussy about some things, but as far as pop culture, what I listen to, what I watch, she didn't care. She bought me, like I said, Fangoria, Mad Magazine, and it was kind of like I said, it was like this covenant between us that if I buy you these, you'll be on your best behavior till like you're 18, 19, right? You won't knock anybody up, you won't get into drink or drugs, right? And for the most part, that worked. But I believe the next one was Friday the 13th, Jason Lives, which from that day I saw it again on Showtime, some weeknight thing. I absolutely fell in love with it and fell in love with, of course, the theme song, He's Back, the Man Behind the Mask.
Yeah, yes.
So good.
And then just, like any other horror-loving kid, you eventually work your way down to franchise.
Yeah, definitely.
And for a long time, couldn't tell them apart because if you rented 1, 2, and 3, it would be very hard to decipher if you watched them all in order which one was which. Until I get older, now I'm like, when people come in to the bar, I attend bar at the Rock Island Public House in Blue Island in Illinois, and people are like, "Oh, which Friday the 13th is this?" I'm like, "You don't know? Get out of here! Come on,
dweeb, get out!"
Yeah, get out of here, you big fucking dork.
Come on, yeah, it's like that.
The White Claw will be $5, please. Thank you.
Yes. Give me your money. Give me your money. Give me your money. Go sit outside.
Funny enough, you and I have a similar, like one of my first instance of watching one was catching like the tail end of Part 5 when I was a kid on WGN of all channels and watching it. So what my first experience was A New Beginning as well. You also have the Halloweenies podcast, which goes through things like Friday the 13th, Nightmare on Elm Street, Halloween, like one by one. And this year you're on Friday the 13th. Is that correct?
So the show started 3 years ago, and they every year they do one of the big horror franchises. The first year they did Halloween, and I wasn't on that season. And for Nightmare on Elm Street, which I'm still disappointed I wasn't on the whole season, because that is, if we get to it later, that is my favorite franchise of the big 80s franchises. But they had me come on for 5 and 6 because I believe that I don't want to say worst, but the least, like the lowest ranking Nightmare on Elm Street is still 100 to 1,000,000 times more imaginative and exciting than the best Halloween sequel. So I'm a big fan of the Nightmare on Elm Street series. And then they asked me to come on full time for Friday the 13th, which actually has always been one of my favorites. I do have a Jason tattoo on my arm. I was always a big fan. I think if you were ever in Boy Scouts, you have a certain love for Friday the 13th because you spent enough time in the woods where it spoke to you a little bit the same way Halloween or Nightmare on Elm Street might speak to you, because everybody dreams. Everybody lives in a house, possibly in a suburban area. And if you were a Boy Scout, you spent a lot of time in the woods.
Not all of us live in Texas, so we can't really.
Like that one, of course. That one never. Although that steel door still gets under my skin.
Right.
Oh my gosh.
Oh no, it's still a hauntingly terrifying movie, but I'm trying to raise those 3 up a little level.
Yeah.
But so I'm full time. Next year, it's already been announced. I'll tell it here in case anybody knows. Next year, we're doing the Scream franchise, hopefully leading up to Part 5, which we hope gets released next year. But to round out the rest of the year, we are going to do Randy's recommendations off of his video wall, where we're going to talk about some of the other slasher movies like Prom Night that will probably the series is never going to tackle the Prom Night franchise, probably. But we'd love to talk about that first.
Well, it's not about who you go with; it's who takes you home.
Yeah.
At the end of the day. All right. Well, it's awesome. And you also, I got to mention this. You sent me today. You cut a trailer for your drive-in screening of Jason Goes to Hell, which was hilarious.
It was cut to One Way Ticket to Hell by the Darkness, which I just thought it was cool to have the One Way Ticket to Hell like that. That's funny. But the coke snorting noises that are actually part of the song that I worked into the trailer, I think it kind of give, if you've never seen Jason Goes to Hell before, it kind of gives you a good idea how this may have happened.
Right. Well, I do love the part that you open it with the classic Paul from part 2 telling the story of the original Friday the 13th and the opening of that film, the campfire, and then you fade out and they go, and then he also this, and he also this, and like you added the ridiculous.
He also had a sister you never heard of. He's got a shaving fetish. He can swap bodies like in that movie The Hidden, and there's a bounty hunter on the trail. Because I absolutely love when you think about it from 1980 until 1993, like it went from this story of a vengeful mother, this kind of Agatha Christie inspired Giallo ripoff, kind of a little bit of a melodrama into the slasher movie, to this wild supernatural body swapping thing. That this is where you ended up. I just found that absolutely hilarious.
Right. We'll hit back on that when we get to the film. Let's dig into Jason Goes to Hell. It's directed by Adam Marcus, starring Kane Hodder, John D. LeMay, Carrie Keegan, Stephen Williams, Stephen Culp, and Aaron Gray. In this 9th entry, after being blown away by a team of FBI agents, Jason Voorhees needs to find a way to overcome certain death when his bloodied remains are sent to the morgue. His heart, still intact, is able to hypnotize a coroner, take over his body. After brutally dispatching a couple of FBI agents, he heads back to his favorite stomping grounds, Crystal Lake. All right, so this is a big jump in the series because it goes from Paramount to New Line Cinema, the home of Freddy, which through the last couple entries with Paramount, New Line and them have been trying to work out making Freddy versus Jason, which I think they talked about it with 7, but 8 was Jason Takes Manhattan was supposed to be Freddy versus Jason, and they just could not agree on financials and who won. And
as far as I understand, like the idea was really born in '86 with part 6 because Tommy McLaughlin, the writer director of that one, had been asked would he consider doing a Freddy versus Jason movie because they really wanted to bring the audience back after the lackluster response to 5. And part 7 really was the one that was supposed to be Freddy versus Jason, which they reworked into the telekinetic girl.
Right. And then the director for 8 was hired on as the director of Freddy versus Jason. And then they had to pivot that. And then New Line, after Jason Takes Manhattan does poorly for them at the box office, they sell off the character of Jason Voorhees, not Friday the 13th, and not the events that happened from 1 through 8. And this is where all that complex legal shit and why you can't exactly remake and stuff. So this was the only one that kept the Friday because they call it the final Friday. It's the second time they finaled the series because, 4 was the final chapter. And, that's a clever ending to Jason Goes to Hell, the final Friday. So I'm like, okay.
I love the obnoxious. I love the obnoxiousness of the title, especially because they can't, because Paramount still owned the rights to the title Friday the 13th. So then the New Line, hashtag New Line November, which this will be running during, become Jason movies. And there's this kind of distinguishing quality to them.
Yeah, absolutely.
And this one also has Sean Cunningham back in a producer role where the tagline was "The creator of the first returns to bring you the last,"
which is absolutely ridiculous because there's anybody who hates Jason Voorhees. Nobody hates Jason Voorhees more than Sean because he always thought it was absolutely ridiculous that Jason became the focus of the series after the original film.
Yeah, he wanted to anthology it like Carpenter did with Halloween, and they're like,
Because as Adam Marcus I interviewed Adam Marcus for the Music Box of Horrors, and we'll be running that interview as part of the Halloweenies podcast, a bonus episode next week. Adam Marcus said, and he was good friends with Sean Cunningham. Marcus
he grew up with him. Right.
He ran coffee on the set of Jason Goes to Hell because he was friends with Cunningham's kid. He said Cunningham never saw an idea that John Carpenter came up with that he didn't want to rip off.
Well, they act like it's Cunningham coming back to embrace the series, and it was basically go make a movie. Like that's pretty much what it seemed like.
The funny thing, the only real input Cunningham had was get rid of the fucking hockey mask.
Right? Yeah. Like why would? It gave us one of the most unique entries in the series.
Absolutely.
And so you said you saw it opening day.
I did.
Mike, did you go to the theater, Jimmy?
I did. Gee, are you hearing me at all?
Yes.
Okay, fine. I was like, it was weird. I'm not coming in.
I
Great. Yes, I did. I saw it opening weekend. I believe I saw it opening the Friday because it's Friday the 13th. It's my favorite franchise. So, and to be honest, I was kind of just.
How old were you?
Oh God, I don't even remember. I was younger.
Yeah.
I'm probably older than both of you. Yeah, I was so like, because I love the first four. They're easily the first 4 and 6.
Without a doubt, that's the best. Those are the best in the franchise.
But I kind of went in thinking this is stupid as fuck, but I enjoyed it, and it's one that I was like, I bought when it came out, like the first release. It came out on DVD. I'm like, well, of course I'm going to buy it because there was so much good in it that I ended up really enjoying it, and I actually. I got to work with Aaron Gray on a play years later, and I didn't care about. And I was like, as much as I knew Buck Rogers, I was like, "Ooh, can we talk about Jason Goes to Hell?"
The thing goes between your legs. It goes.
Yeah.
What was that like? What was that like?
What did she have to say about that? Because she doesn't seem like she was too happy about what happened on the production.
She didn't talk a lot about it. I definitely didn't get the sense that she was like, oh my gosh, I'm so proud of that film. Did not get that sense. But I didn't get the sense that she hated it. I didn't get the sense that was like, I mean, I don't know. It was but I'm like, I thought she's great in it. I love seeing her in it.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, she's not bad in the movie at
No.
all.
And I like the fact that it was adults, like a lot of adults.
Right, yeah.
And this is one of the few Friday the 13th it's not 30-year-olds playing 16-year-olds. It's actually 30-year-olds, playing 30-year-olds.
Well, and the teens that go to camp aren't even.
They're not even teens. They're not really teens.
They seem like they're in their mid-20s. They seem like they're in their mid-20s, especially if she's putting the moves on the one girl's putting the moves on old John D. LeMay. But that was one of the big things that Adam Marcus. So I was going through my old Fangorias, which I still have in my old. Hold on, wait, see if I got. Oh wait, let's see.
Oh wow.
I've got Monsters Attack with Jason on the cover.
Oh.
I've got the Jason Goes to Hell official movie magazine, and then this Fangoria, like Jason Goes, biggest coverage ever.
Oh my gosh!
What's funny about the interviews is, like, Adam Marcus was a big advocate for that. He wanted to have adults living their own lives, and Jason intrudes on this. But the thing that I really kind of love about these contemporary interviews is that everybody in them, horror Twitter would lose their minds if they read these interviews, and I'm going to make it a point to post them so that they do. And because everybody in the interviews, all the actors are saying, this isn't like your typical stupid horror movie. This is smarter than this. And it's always funny to me because they always bring up the sense of logic that Jason Goes to Hell brings to the series.
It makes sense now. I think it's funny. Well, first of all, like I saw this movie VHS. I'm the young person here probably, but this was the first,
wow.
This was the first new one when I was going through the series.
Right.
I didn't get.
You had waited for this one.
Yeah, and so luckily I got the uncut version as my first experience with it. I got to see.
Oh, nice.
It came on VHS. It came in the uncut version, and so that was one. And I, being younger, and not as affluent film wise, still learning and just really getting into these movies. This was the change up really made it more intense. Having adults around and a baby made it a bit more intense for me.
Oh yeah.
So I was on board with this from the beginning, and I just was like, oh, well, how creative, and this is nifty. Now I look back at some things as okay, it's kind of stupid, silly, but I luckily when I first saw it, I was the right age to have it impact me.
I think that has a lot to do with it. Like, this is truly a movie made for 13-year-old boys, and I was 13.
Oh my gosh, yeah.
I was 13 when I saw it. My dad took me and the neighborhood kids and my brother, who was 7, to see opening the first showing of the day, Ford City 14, Chicago South Side. The theater's packed for an afternoon show on Friday afternoon.
Yeah.
Okay. With the most vocal audience I have ever been in.
Really?
Really?
Hooting and hollering. I will never forget that the moment when I think her name is Vicky or Betty jumps over and grabs the shotgun and cocks it.
Oh, yeah, that big shot. Yeah.
Just somebody that screams, "Oh, damn, that's a double barrel." And then, I mean, spoilers. The moment when Freddy's glove comes out and grabs Jason's glove and pulls it down to hell, just the whole audience chanting Freddy. Like, I never experienced anything like it. So when I talk about my adoration for this movie, I'll admit, like, a lot of it has to do with nostalgia of that screaming, because I grew up in the era where people were kind of quiet during movies, whereas the 70s people, like, I always hear stories about Star Wars where people went nuts booing the villains and cheering when the Death Star blew up. I never had that, except for going to see Jason Goes to Hell.
Yeah, Halloween was the same thing, by the way. I mean, the original Halloween, people were fucking screaming. People were going insane. It was amazing.
Yeah, I never had that. I have always, like, my big one, my Star Wars was Tim Burton's Batman. That was the first larger-than-life movie. I did have a guy I worked with long back when I lived in Los Angeles. He was an editor on Quantum Leap.
Love that.
I was like, we need to be friends. He told me when he saw Rocky back in the day when that first came out, people during the final fight were standing up in the theater like it was a real boxing match almost. I'm like, I would love to experience something like that.
Yeah. Jason Goes to Hell was it for me. It certainly wasn't any of the Star Wars prequels. It was more just kind of befuddled disappointment as people shuffled out of the theater.
Right. Oh, man. No, this one, so Jason Goes to Hell, they try something new, and it's very much in place in its time. If you look at all the horror franchises of this time, Freddy, Jason, Leatherface, I mean, and Michael Myers, we all had to know what the real truth was behind the evil. Like, this was the time where they expanded the mythology to these ridiculous levels where it's like Michael Myers, I'm like, he was just a kid who stabbed his sister, and he comes back and stalks another. And it turned into like, oh, it's this cult. There's these runes, and it was the night of, and he's got to switch all, and it's all that. Freddy.
I was playing that on The Empire Strikes Back. Like it's always, like, you have to find out there's some familial connection.
Freddy had his, and then like the daughter, and here's the only a Voorhees can do, and it's messy. It's fan fiction, and it's very much like that, but hell with it. It's what it is, and it stands as this interesting time with the slashers when they were all on their last legs.
Well, yeah, this is 4 years after Manhattan, and Manhattan tanked at the box office.
Right.
And let me, I want to propose a theory to you guys. Can I ask you a question? I'm going to ask you a bus question.
Please.
You're welcome.
Jason Goes to Hell. What number entry is this in the Friday the 13th overall franchise?
9.
Well, it's the 9th, yeah.
The 9th. It's the 9th.
Mm-hmm.
I just fucked it up because I realized I did my math wrong. All right, here it is. Jason Goes to Hell is the last Jedi of the Friday the 13th franchise.
Okay.
It asks you to destroy everything you ever knew about the Friday the 13th franchise.
Okay.
Take all those boring old ideas, and we're going to reinvent it from here on out. And I think that imagination, as you mentioned earlier, is what makes this a memorable entry. And I'm always kind of surprised when people don't like it.
Right. Yeah, me too. Yeah.
Because I think, what does it deliver? It gives you, I would argue, just as much Jason on screen as any of the other entries. At least 1 through 4, because you usually saw him in the shadows.
Right.
Fair
It
enough.
delivers on the gore. It gives you nudity. Gives you some, nice boobs. Like, quality kills. Like, what else do you want from this thing? But yeah, let the past die. Like, you're right. Why do you want to see another movie set at a camp?
Right. And and what they do, and that's what I've always wondered. I'm like, people get so mad at a departure, and it's like, well, dude, you had like 6 movies previous with him in the hockey mask going after people. You can 7 if you want the sack with Jason, and then 8 if you want a straight slasher. I mean, you have those to go back to. We're at the 9th entry, and you got to do something different. And like Marcus, he looked at things and was like, okay, let's respect everything. Where do we go? Why does it, like, he's part of a generation of filmmakers that started like thinking about it. It wasn't just here's $1, go make a Jason. He was like, he was a fan. He thought about things. He wanted to do something different. He figured a way to just make things a little more exciting because Jason's in plain sight now. He just looks like someone else that people can trust and welcome in. And it adds a different dimension. And it's really cool. And one thing, too, that I don't understand, like, Friday the 13th fans like gore, right? This is one of the, like,
this has
goriest, and it holds up great.
So in those contemporary interviews that I was talking about, they talk to the K&B guys a lot. So this is Greg Nicotero, Howard Berger, and who's the Nicotero? Who am I forgetting?
Nicotero, Berger.
It's like the three tenors and the other guy.
It's the K. We're all gonna be like, it's gonna come up randomly.
Yeah, they had met Marcus because Marcus was hanging around the set of Army of Darkness.
Right.
Because Marcus strikes me as one of these kids who grew up in Hollywood, who was always kind of sniffing around film sets and stuff, a lot like John Landis did, and got a lot of PA jobs and stuff. But he was hanging out on the Army of Darkness set. He met these guys, and K&B says in all these, and this is another one of those contemporary interviews that I think would get K&B in trouble today with the quote unquote horror community. They're like, the reason they agreed to do this movie was that they weren't going to have to do your typical Friday the 13th.
Right.
It's like, and they actually say in one of the interviews, oh, great, another throat slash. Like, how are you going to top what Savini did with that in the first one or the fourth one? And they have all these wild body horror effects, which everybody loves. Everybody loves to name drop Cronenberg and talk about all these melty body horror things. And this movie delivers more of that than you ever got. Certainly better than the effect of Jason turning into his younger self, I guess, at the end of Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah. Yep. And no, the kills, the characters feel a little bit. There's still like some stereotypes, but they feel a little bit more fleshed out. And there's just really different. There's different. Stakes.
It's different.
Yeah.
It's different. And I hate when I talk to
fear different. That's the problem. It's like, yeah.
Like you said, you're dealing with like the same storyline. Marcus added, not only did he add like a little bit to the Friday the 13th legend, he also kind of played around with what a lot of filmmakers do today, what James Wan does, Tarantino does. He kind of got those little, Evil Dead, all that stuff in there.
The cinematic universe.
Yes,
right.
It's brilliant. It's brilliant.
Well, when I interviewed Adam Marcus, I asked him, I said, I'm asking you straight out right now, is Jason Voorhees a Deadite? He goes, absolutely he is. And because he had this whole backstory about Jason's mother getting the book and that. And I love that. And certainly as a 13-year-old who was into, like, that was the point I had gotten into the Evil Dead movies, and Sam Raimi could do no wrong. And I think you feel that influence in kind of the kinetic style and kind of the action movie style that Jason Goes to Hell.
Oh yeah, T2 was big, and it's here. It's got the hidden T2.
Oh, big time.
All
big
that
time.
body horror. It's influence. And the thing I love about modern day Marcus is he's been reading what you have to say. He's seen critical bashing, fan.
He loves
bashing.
the haters. He said because all the haters own 2 copies of his movie.
Yeah, he's with a vengeance. He's come back like the new Shout Factory, the Scream Factory Blu-ray. He is just like, here's all the things you've been bitching about. Here's why, and now you sound stupid. Like that's what I kind of loved about.
Oh, it's absolutely
what he's done. And I mean,
the intro is his intro.
It's one of the best intros to any Blu-ray I've ever seen. Where he's like, thanks for buying this for like the 4th or 5th time. And that's it. That's
it.
Oh, I laughed so hard. He also he gives us, we have in this opening scene, one of the best like shot and cut, like just typical Crystal Lake sequences ever.
He gives you exactly what you want right up front, and then ends it with what every boy or girl in a schoolyard talked about for years. Like, why don't they just send a SWAT team out to get Jason Voorhees?
He kills Jason off right in the opening. It's like, whoa, where are we going now?
That could have been the movie, and I would have been happy, honestly, because it's so exciting and so well done, I think.
Yeah, this is like what people make fan films of, is just this sequence. Like it's it's terrific. And
that hair, she's got that hair, man. That 90s hair.
Special Agent Marcus. Like, I know we're going to talk about our crushes of the movie later, but this whole movie, as I called it on our Halloweenies episode, is Stone Cold Fox Junction. My goodness.
My goodness. Yeah. And we get the, it starts with the Jason thing, it explodes him, but then it gives you grossness that you've never seen in Friday the 13th when the coroner eats the heart.
Mhm.
That's
And
the
it's just
only
like-
thing. That's the only thing in a movie where I have like, I guess.
He's like, oh.
Well,
oh.
you know, Mike, he did skip lunch. Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, come on.
What I always take away from that scene is like, if the Grinch, he's kind of like the Grinch, except the Grinch had a heart that was 2 sizes too small.
Right.
Jason Voorhees has a heart that's 2 sizes too big.
Right.
Poor thing.
Yeah. And this is a whole different world. This is a whole reactive world, and we have a news channel thing, and the best thing maybe Adam Marcus gave us is Creighton Duke.
Oh, yeah.
So
Yeah.
on the news thing, what I love, like again from those contemporary interviews, Marcus implied that this movie took place in an alternate universe where the Friday the 13th movies existed, but they were based on the real Jason's exploits.
Okay.
Which is absolutely ridiculous, and I love it. And on the Creighton Duke thing, I watching it again at the drive-in, like, you could just put anybody in the duster and the hat, and they look cool. Like,
Right.
they're a bounty hunter now. But
Sure.
Stephen Williams, his performance, particularly in the sequence where he's breaking John D. LeMay's fingers, and
Yes.
and when he realizes that John D. LeMay has like what it takes to beat Jason, that turnover.
Mhm.
I just think in a movie full of pretty good performances, it's a standout.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yeah. It's of the series too. Like Creighton Duke,
Without a doubt.
top, and he's just loving being here, and probably enjoy. I'd imagine he enjoys Friday the 13th with a performance like this. Happy to be in one of the movies.
Yeah.
And yeah, he's all over. The movie's weaker when it doesn't have him. When he shows up again, and maybe one of the saddest things happening is he doesn't make it to the end of the movie. But
Spoiler alert.
There's also a great segment that's cut. There's one of the weirdest cuts in the movie is when he asks Jessica for the baby towards the climax,
Mhm.
and he says, "Just give me 2 minutes," and they just kind of stand there staring at each other. Well, and Adam Marcus said he'd love to get this cut out there one day, but nobody's going to let him do it just yet. Creighton Duke gives a whole monologue about how Jason killed his fiance while they were camping in the 1960s, which completely throws the timeline
Right,
off.
yeah.
If you're doing it with the Paramount entries, but I really wish they'd put that back in there because it's really kind of a rough cut when you watch it.
okay.
Oh, wow.
But they shot the footage. It's out there. It's mentioned in my official Jason Goes to Hell movie magazine.
Ooh.
And if you take this dagger and stab it in here, it opens the portal of time, and we can. That's where.
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
we could
All
have
right.
something-
That's pretty good, though. I'm impressed.
Right.
I believed it.
Another star. This is John D. LeMay, who is in Friday the 13th, the series.
Yeah.
Before this, pretty cool.
Do you guys remember how they killed John D. LeMay off on Friday the 13th, the series?
I don't think I watched up to where he got
vaguely. Yeah, I think I stopped watching before then, but I
Yeah.
remember that happening and being like, "Really?"
They turned him into, because this must have been hot with Paramount at the time, they turned him into a little kid.
Oh yeah, they did.
Okay.
I remember that. So they didn't technically kill him off. He could
Because they wanted to bring him back. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that.
And he also taught me that perhaps if you're handcuffed behind your back, you could jump up, and I always thought that was the coolest move. I was like, whoa,
it's the best. That's
how you do it.
in a series, in a movie with so many memorable like moments. Even if the overall story is kind of tough to get along with, it's weird, it's wild. There's a lot of stuff the suspension of disbelief. That moment where he jumps over those handcuffs and grabs that gun is like that belongs in a Terminator movie. It's so
Although
good.
I gotta say though, hadn't he already had his fingers broken by then?
Yeah, that doesn't hold up.
I guess he could have slipped off the handcuff, right?
I guess. I mean, yeah. And pulled a trigger on a gun. That I'm impressed, man. Doing that with broken fingers, good job.
Yeah, and he was a cool dude. He was supposed to be Tommy Jarvis apparently, but that was Paramount could not.
They only let you can take Jason, but not Tommy. We're holding on Tommy for his own series of films.
Yes,
still waiting on that.
He's sort of getting right now.
Oh yeah, with the Jarvis tapes and everything. For I think Tom McLaughlin wrote the Pamela Voorhees tapes for the video game.
Right.
Oh.
Well, there's the Never Hike Alone series, which
Yes, he does.
shown up twice.
Tom
now.
Matthews
John
shows
Matthews,
up.
yeah.
Yeah, and he's great in it. The great. Those movies are pretty much as good as the regular films. I'm like, Jesus, seriously.
Are they better or worse than Jason Goes to Hell?
Oh, I love Jason Goes to Hell. So
I love being
it.
on a show with people who love Jason Goes to Hell.
I love that movie.
I
Yeah.
have a soft, like I could pop any of the, like New Blood's my like low, but I can watch it easily.
Yeah.
I decided this year when I was going through my box set on Twitter, I was like, you know what? I'm going to tweet about this and I'm going to say nice things about it as I go. Some fun things rather than.
Well, see, yeah, mine was always Jason Takes Manhattan, and with the new box set, literally this was a big epiphany the other day. I'm watching Jason Goes to Hell now, or no, sorry, Jason Takes Manhattan, and I'm like, wow, I watch this all the time. It's really not that bad. I enjoy it. There's not one I don't like, to be honest.
I think the biggest problem with part 7 and part 8, which are definitely I find to be low points of the series,
For sure.
is that they squander such terrific imaginative concepts as Carrie versus Jason and sending Jason to New York City, and be it because of budget or like I think part 7 has just poor direction. I think John Carl Buechler is a much better special effects guy than he is a director. I just don't think he has a lot of vision for that, or had a lot of vision for that. And I think they kind of squander the imagination, which a series like this needs at this point. And then Jason Goes to Hell, I think, makes good on the promise of both of them.
Right.
By bringing Jason into a little bit more of an urban setting, and bringing in a lot of the mysticism that it does. So like the Friday the 13th films, or not the Friday the 13th, rather the Nightmare on Elm Street films, they had nowhere to go but down, because like they had to keep topping the dream sequences. So by 5 and 6, which I think are perfectly enjoyable films, that's just a series running out of steam.
Yeah.
But not quite as quickly as Halloween or Friday the 13th did.
I like Friday the 13th better, to be honest, because I find Freddy's Dead to be one of the worst movies ever made. I fucking hate it. I fucking hate that movie. I can't watch it. I can't.
Would you rather watch that or Halloween Resurrection?
Oh,
Halloween Resurrection. And I hate
fuck
it.
you.
I hate it. I hate it. I would at least it's like that one's so fucking stupid. And it's
right.
I saw it in theaters, and I was remember they gave you the glasses.
I was so excited for that. Yeah.
And I was like, fuck this movie. I hate that movie. I still hate that movie.
I get mad when people diss on like Dream Child, because I know that's one of the low points, but there's a lot I like to unpack from that movie. I like
Dream Child.
I think the biggest problem is they got the wrong Freddy in the Dream Child. They need one from like part 2, and Dream Child becomes one of the best movies in the series.
I would agree. I hate the makeup in part. I hate the makeup design of Freddy in part 5. That's one of my least favorite makeup designs. But my favorite makeup design is part 2, like you mentioned.
Yeah.
And I think you needed a little bit of that darker Freddy. But another thing I love about part 5 is that it attempts, even if it kind of swings and misses, it attempts to bring more adult themes.
Exactly. That's what I like.
Like what Jason Goes to Hell does with adult characters.
Right.
They're not
bringing
anymore.
it back to, thank you, Mike. Bringing it back to Jason Goes to Hell.
I think it works on that. It doesn't always work, but at least I respect the swing.
Right. Yeah. And like we said, it's totally, I mean, we get the Crystal Lake settings and stuff, but in a way we haven't felt or seen before. We visited a couple diners throughout the series, and I always kind of loved that idea, like even as a kid, where you kind of create your own headcanon and your own mythology. What was the town of Crystal Lake like? And some of the favorite sequences are in the diner, where you see like these people were terrorized by Jason, and now this diner owner has this great idea of this 2-for-1 Jason burger. Right. Yes.
I think there's a lot of wit in this, and there's a lot of meta humor that obviously Friday the 13th Part 6 did first. But for the 90s, everybody gives a lot of credit to Scream. And I think Jason Goes to Hell it wasn't doing it quite as on the nose, but maybe even more subversively.
Yeah, Scream captured it perfectly. It was all leading up there. You have McLaughlin with Part 6. You have, I think, Lucio Fulci's Cat in the Brain starts a big meta thing. You have A New Nightmare, this Jason Goes to Hell with the burgers, and then Scream just kind of figured it out with
Mhm.
everything. But there was a lot of meta stuff going into the horror
It took
movie.
a younger screenwriter like Kevin Williamson, who grew up on this stuff, to make a movie like Scream. Of course, Adam Marcus was of that same ilk, but he wanted to make a Evil Dead movie, except with Jason Voorhees.
Yeah.
And I appreciate that, because I always say Jason Goes to Hell is kind of, if you think of it not necessarily as part of the Friday the 13th series, but like, what if Canon Films tried to make their own Friday the 13th?
Yes.
And said, because Canon always like to do, like, one of my other favorite movies is Ninja 3: The Domination. It's like, okay, we're gonna combine Flashdance, the fucking Exorcist, Shokashugi movies, and whatever else. We're gonna throw it all in a blender. It's like, and they do the same thing with Jason Goes to Hell. We're gonna what if we throw a Friday the 13th movie with Empire Strikes Back and like a bounty hunter TV series, and that's gonna be the movie now.
Yeah, because they bring in like modern, like we don't have, it's not as big now, but they used to be like Hard Copy and all those shows, and they try to influence it there, which I think a kid watching now would be like, okay, news. But
I don't get the joke.
But that's pretty much what it was all around. And I mean,
Current Affair. I mean, we
Current
still
Affair.
have,
I mean, those became cable
Rivera, and
basically.
he's that trashy kind of, trashy kind of guy. But
I think that joke is kind of lost on young audience that don't remember the Secrets of the Voorhees House, which is totally a riff on, as a Chicago boy, one of our favorite moments in journalism when Geraldo Rivera went into Al Capone's vault on live television, which I respect the gumption, I respect the ballyhoo, but found absolutely nothing there. There is a great In Living Color sketch where Jim Carrey's Geraldo and he's trying to pretend like there's something interesting in the vault. That's pretty good. That's worth tracking down.
In UHF, when Weird Al, when they're like, he's gonna open Al Capone's glove compartment, he opens it, he's like, parking ticket.
Exactly.
Yeah. Oh gosh, and people will never understand the nose. Oh gosh, yeah, Geraldo. Yeah. Oh man. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, this movie encompasses so much. It's so much movie. It's very, if you like action, gore. Jason's there at the beginning. Jason's there at the end. Jason's in the coroner's office because Kane Hodder has a cameo where he calls himself a pussy.
Yeah,
one of my favorite moments of the movie.
Yeah. I love those two guys. I love the Kane and the other dude. I always forget. I don't even know his name. I don't even think. But I love the energy they give. Yeah, fucking pussy. He
was a fucking pussy anyway. And this guy look that he gives back, because he almost leaves him. But Jason don't like people talking shit about him.
Apparently not.
Because the great moment with the Dean Lorey, the screenwriter, has a cameo as the other coroner,
right?
And he just starts talking about taking a shit on Jason Voorhees' mask. And what I love about that, Sipping, not only is it like a funny joke, but it kind of gives you a window into the world, this world where Jason Voorhees is this feared killer that everybody in America knows about, and that kids probably talk about in the schoolyard, and you believe that he's dead. He's on that slab, and you get to say whatever you want to him.
Yeah.
But now he's Hell's assassin. He's a mystical hell baby, and he has taken possession of your partner. And why wouldn't you know that?
No. Right. Two things I'm not the biggest on with this movie. The score has never. I've tried, and it sounds like a temp score, but. Yeah, that's never grown on me. And Jason's look is a bit much. And this was like the look for Jason for like the longest time. Whenever they put him on something, was this New Line Jason look. But
2 points. I was glad they brought Harry Manfredini back.
Right.
So like, I think there's some great moments. The score does sound low budget.
Yeah, it does.
I will agree with that. But like when they zoom in on the Camp Crystal Lake road sign as Agent Marcus is driving up to the cabin, when you get to hear those original Friday the 13th notes again, because was it Fred Molin had done part 7 and part 8, and they had recycled some of Manfredini's stuff for to have Manfredini back, that for me is almost a bigger deal than having Sean Cunningham back, because Manfredini is kind of the soul of the series, like that Bernard Herrmann ripping off that he does so well.
Yeah.
And then on the subject of what was the other thing?
Jason's look.
Jason's look.
His appearance.
I think this is an iconic look. I love the fact that they made it so that the mask becomes a part of him, especially in a movie where Sean S. Cunningham said, "Get rid of the hockey mask." Right. They actually made the mask like Like
It won't come off.
It won't come off. It's stuck there. And I would rather see that look on Jason, which I love that they made a full body suit, which has a butt and everything. If you've ever seen those behind the scene pictures.
Yes.
They put a butt on Jason, but I would rather have that than, I don't know, like it's the same way how now every all artwork of Jason has to have a jacket on. And that jacket didn't come around until Freddy versus Jason. So get rid of that. Get out of here with that.
Yeah, we don't need that. We need jail jacket.
And this one, did you guys ever read the young adult Crystal Lake series from the 90s?
I'm aware of them, but I never read them.
I didn't read them. It kind of informs what this movie starts. They're basically about kids or something around Crystal Lake that'll find his mask, and when they wear it, they're possessed by Jason, the spirit of Jason. And that kind of feel like that's an idea that cribs off of Jason.
Oh, absolutely. And a little bit of part 5.
Right.
So should I put it on then?
Yeah.
You think
Where's mine at? Do I have mine here too? Yeah.
We got my strap is not really in good shape, so there we go.
Oh man.
Oh, yours is a good one. You got part 3. What's that? No, that's 5. Wait, 3. 5?
This is more of a 3, but it's a cheapie that 3. I got off of Amazon. Because it's not you. I think you and I have the same one, Brandon.
I got one. So this is the funny story. You know how sometimes you're scrolling on Facebook and there's like ads for like sham companies?
Absolutely.
This is
I bought a bunch of that shit during quarantine.
$4.99 with free shipping. I'm like, I can waste $4 on that, and it showed up. I was like, oh, it's real, because I've had figures where I've had to like ask my bank to put the money back, because I'm like, they don't exist apparently.
I mean, you ordered it 3 years ago, but it came, and that was the most important part.
Today, just in time. Yeah. So this has informed that, and everybody always goes like 5 is this outlier in the series. It's not. It's this one. This one is the most unique. 5 just isn't Jason. That doesn't make it the outlier weird. It is a weird movie, and I love it to death. But this is the one that's just like bonkers. This is your Halloween 3.
But here is where I think this movie is actually closer to the original 4 than part 5 is, because there is a stereotype amongst people who don't really truly understand the franchise, as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
And it's you. And have you guys ever read the script for the Friday the 13th Part 3D script that was supposed to come out? Like it was going to be a Platinum Dunes release. A lot of people rave about it.
No.
It's not that good. What it does is it recycles a lot of the unlikable characters from parts 5, 7, and 8. So there's this misconception that the original Friday the 13th movies is a bunch of unlikable teenagers getting killed, which is simply not the case. The characters from 1, 2, 3, and 4 are absolutely 100% likable, except for a handful. Shelley. Yeah. Nobody likes Shelley.
But they're just kids.
Shelley
That's the thing. They're kids.
Bad rap. Poor Shelley.
No, when Shelley calls Vera a bitch,
that's it.
That's where he loses me. He loses me. But in part 5 kind of really finally brings in, and I think it's a lot to do with Danny Stone, the director, who really liked sleaze. He came from pornography.
He's a master of sleaze.
Yeah, he did Savage Streets.
Savage Streets is one of,
He just wanted to put all these weirdo, unlikable characters in this movie, almost like a John Waters movie, except when you watch a John Waters movie, you get the feeling that John Waters loves these weirdos.
Right.
You get the feeling that Danny Steinman hates these weirdos. And now you've created this, now you've made Jason the anti-hero, where you hate all these characters, so you want to see them die. Whereas in the first 4, you like these characters, so you're upset when Jason kills them. Mm-hmm. And if I may, I think Jason Goes to Hell kind of brings that back a little bit, even outside of the Stephen Culp character, who, he gets what he deserves. Yeah, but you don't want to see Aaron Gray or Carrie Keegan. You don't want to see these guys get it.
Well, even the diner, they're trashy people. They're loudmouths, but they have likable. That love.
They're absolutely likable.
That helps them.
The relationship between the owner and the little guy.
That helps.
That's so pure. It's so pure.
You forgive everything that they are. You forgive everything that they are, loudmouth wise, and you enjoy because of that relationship. And you don't want to see the little guy get it in the fryer.
I liked his character. He was adorable. I love that. They were basically like the mom and Junior in part 5.
Yeah.
Except really likable and really
Right.
because you hated Junior and you hated
And
Ma.
probably
They were
know how to
terrible.
cook better.
You hate everybody in part 5. They're the
Well,
worst.
do you hate Lana though?
Lana, no. Lana!
Lana!
Which one's Lana?
Lana's the one that shows her boobs a lot.
The diner with the other EMT guy.
Oh, yeah. All right. No, she all right. But no, they're trouble. You can see they're trouble.
But Demon, that was my boy.
No, Demon.
Yeah.
Demon, I always like to think that he played in like the coolest band this side of Cameo. Because you see a bass in his van. So I always figured him, and he's wearing leather pants in the middle of Crystal Lake. So I always figured him for a musician.
He's got the
thing.
DeBarge
Of
jacket.
course, they
Yeah,
got that
yeah.
song too. So I mean, Brandon and I have shared many hours of love for that song.
As I have always said, and I'll say it for the 80 billionth time, this is one of the most memorable scenes in cinema history.
Amen.
Why? Because you'll never forget it when you see it. So it's undeniable that statement is true. So let's take off. Let's go to our superlatives that we always do for these. So favorite kill. It's the tent.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was not in the theatrical version. That didn't get to be seen till the uncut.
Mm-hmm.
Right, because what Adam Marcus was told when he was shooting it was New Line knew they were going to release 2 versions to VHS as a kind of a grifting money-making scheme.
Right.
So they said, make this as nasty as possible. We're going to give the theatrical version. We're going to put that on VHS, and then we're going to release the unrated version. So we're going to get every video store in America to buy both versions. And that is part of how the tent death came around. And what I love about the tent death is that not only is it imaginative and kind of trumps just about anything in the series, outside of maybe Savini's influential work on the first one, is that it also is very, in a movie that kind of tries to deviate from the Friday the 13th formula, it's kind of giving the audience exactly what it wants. A hot, naked chick having sex, getting killed in an inventive and absolutely terrifically gory way.
Right. And it's surprising. It was just like, oh, wow. And at the time, I was newer to horror stuff when I first saw this movie. And a lot of the Friday the 13th, I would watch on USA Up All Night up to that point.
Oh,
so
classic.
seeing uncut like this, just what? And then the fact that one of the little details I love is that it's a corner at that point, but as he walks to the tent to kill, he steps on the condom on the ground.
Yeah.
That was a nice.
It's the 90s. Everything was about safe sex back then. But these kids these days haven't had it drilled into their head enough that sex can kill you.
Right. What was the weakest kill in the film?
Well, I would probably say for me, it's because I wish they would have shown more of the writer get pronged. Because I mean, it's such a cool idea, and it ends up being like, well, it's weird because you see his face smashed into the whatever he's laying on the stretcher thing. I feel like that scene should have been really fucked up, really grotesque, and it ended up being like, oh, that was like, ooh, that would hurt and that would be terrible, but they should have gone there with that kill. It's not the worst kill in the film.
No.
In my opinion, at all. But I feel like it's a missed opportunity.
Gotcha.
I think the same way about the Friar death, because the
Right.
diner massacre in the uncut version, you get the brains hitting the ceiling, and then you get the punch to the face with the girl who owns the diner, and then you get him dunking him in the fryer, but you never really, and I don't know why they shied away from it at this point. Perhaps in Adam Marcus's extended cut, it's there. Like you never really get to see the result of getting dunked in that fryer, which I imagine would be pretty fucking nasty.
That's true. I put for fun Kane Hodder because it's off screen.
But the joke leading up to it is so good.
Yes, the joke leading up to it is really good. Who's the biggest douchebag in the movie?
Wow.
I think we're across the board on this one too.
Yeah. Culp.
Yeah. But he's so good at it.
He's really great. He's a great character. He's awesome. He's awesome because he's so awful.
I normally hate when they introduce, particularly in Friday the 13th and slash movies, the character that is there because you want to root for the killer. It's Charles in part 8. It's Bernie Lomax in part 7.
Right.
You always they started to introduce these characters, so now you get to cheer for the villain as this person gets it. But Culp is such and as you know, somebody of my age, he is such a representation of the Geraldo Rivera Inside Edition reporter that he plays it to a T. He's got those Kennedy looks, those network TV fucking looks that he almost doesn't need to act. It's just him. He just oozes it.
And you care so much about Carrie Keegan, it's like even worse.
Oh yeah.
Him behind there, he's like, yeah, I just did it, and I fucked her.
And then I fucked her daughter. Yeah. And his delivery on that line is so good. And then it's like Bob Newhart. It's Bob Newhart level when he's talking to the guy on the phone, like, what are you freaking out about? Because you don't hear the other guy on the other line, but you can totally hear in your head what this guy is saying to him, his producer.
Yeah, absolutely.
The friend zone. Who would you want to hang out with? I'm gonna go with Creighton Duke. What a night that would be.
Yeah, if he doesn't break your fingers,
it might be worth it.
I mean, I would probably go with John.
Unless he puts me in a pink dress, then I don't know.
Well, he might. I would go with John LeMay. I really like him. I just like him in general in the Friday the 13th series.
Well, I said friend zone, not crush, Jimmy.
Oh, darn it! Shoot. Oh, okay, never mind.
Like
he would be my friend zone.
John LeMay is very likable, but I think me and Creighton Duke would have a wild night out because, and I don't think that's acting coming from Stephen Williams, because when I talked to Adam Marcus about him, he said that when he came to his house to do the interviews for the documentary, The Dark Heart of Jason Voorhees, that he's doing about the making of and legacy of Jason Goes to Hell, he showed up. He came to the door shirtless, with a bottle of booze in one hand and a knife in the other. And a friend of mine who went to one of these X-Files conventions in Chicago said that he saw him hanging out at the bar afterwards, and he was absolutely hammered and was just having the best fucking time.
That's great.
That's amazing.
Oh, amazing. Who was your crush?
Well, I said John LeMay.
LeMay.
I think this is kind of I would say, I would go, who I like. I was gonna say Carrie Keegan, but who's the girl with the gun?
I want to say her name is Vicky.
Yeah, I like her. I like her. She's
the girl with the
cute,
gun,
and she's sassy.
There you go.
I like her. I'm going with her.
I mean, like I said, this movie's Stone Cold Fox Junction.
Yeah,
but like
the hitchhikers, man, everyone.
Yeah, everybody. Like the two hitchhikers. I always have to make a list. Like I'd have to rank it. Like, the two hitchhikers. But
hey, there were 3 hitchhikers, man.
You can
take them all.
Look here, Tony the Wonder Llama is a handsome devil. But I don't need that competition hanging around.
Fair enough.
There you go.
I mean, I would almost lean towards Vicky, but maybe I'll go. I mean, Carrie Keegan, but only when she's wearing the cop uniform with the boots and the white T-shirt.
Right. Yes.
But, you know what? I'll give it, since you chose Vicky, I'm going with Aaron Gray.
Oh, wow.
Boom.
Fair enough.
There you go.
I'm not go outside.
Older women are my weakness.
Go with the outside the staff. I'm gonna go with the lonely redheaded hitchhiker going to Crystal Lake because
she's cute. Yeah,
she's company.
Top notch.
Needed company.
Yeah,
I liked how forward she was.
Oh yeah, she's like, hey, if you come, you're gonna get down. It's cool.
Yeah.
You're gonna come.
Yeah. We get 30-minute rotations in the tent. It's okay. All right. So disappointment, someone you maybe wanted killed wasn't, or just didn't get it the way you were hoping they would be killed.
I'm turning this one on its head because I wish Creighton Duke didn't die.
Yeah, I would go with that.
Because I love
all the deaths are like people get it that should, and they get it pretty nasty.
Yeah. I've loved the concept of the Jason Hunter since part 4, and the Jason Hunters always go out like punks.
Yeah.
I mean, Creighton Duke gives a little bit better of a fight. He's killing me, right. Rob, in part 4. With the hand, I mean, he handcuffs him and Jason's a powerful dude, so the fact that he can hold on to him that long to get his back broken. But that's a disappointment because I would have loved to see Duke at least come back. You think he's dead and he comes back for one more what's his name? Like Mario Van Peebles in the director's cut of Jaws 4.
Right, there you go.
Yeah. No, I agree with you on that. I think that was a wasted opportunity because it's such a great character. He's
Indeed.
A really good character.
He could have gone to space too.
Hell yeah.
I would have rather seen Creighton Duke go to space than than Jason Voorhees.
Heck yeah. I'm going to mention something I forgot, but listeners might want to hear us talk about the mustache shaving when the heart transfers.
Yeah.
So-
What a weird fucking scene.
Adam Marcus, he said he did it on purpose.
Yeah.
I always felt it was a reshoot thing where the guy came back to shoot. He didn't have the mustache, so they did that. But
I don't know, because that movie is so weird. Well, to be fair, they did have that movie finished like a year and a half before it was released.
Okay.
So you know what? I never even thought about that until right now, and it's blowing my mind. But that is, but as a young pervert at 13 years old, when I saw that, I was like, oh, what's going on here? And I told myself, you know what? This is probably something I'm going to understand when I get older. And I'm older now. And I still don't necessarily understand what was going on in that sequence. Like, I know people have like shaving fetishes and stuff like that, but I don't know why Jason didn't want it. Didn't want to
maybe
kiss
he
him.
wanted a clean, but the coroner has a mustache, so it's like it's not.
It doesn't. I wouldn't surprise me if that's Brandon. Good point. That's a reshoot, because like I said, that movie, I was reading about it. It was finished in like spring of '92, but like they went back for reshoots and they held on to it until August. They wanted to release it on August 13th, and then it almost got pushed back till September 3rd, as of the Fangoria article that I was reading. But they must have decided, well, we're not going to you make more money when you put these things on Friday the 13th.
Absolutely.
Right, yeah. Okay, last one is the funniest line or moment in the film. I got the Creighton Duke, Jason Voorhees, like a little girl in a pink dress.
Another bizarre, why? What? Okay.
His lines
in a
come
movie
from something else, but hey, it's good.
In a movie filled with bizarre, why? All right, okay.
Yeah. Funny. I mean,
I'd go with the line about being a big old pussy before they kill Kane Hodder, and then they cut to SWAT agents dead. Coroner missing. Like that always tickles me.
I think growing up as a kid watching those shows, I'm like, okay, yeah, that just the shows in general, just a hard copy, a current affair, inside edition, all that stuff. I thought that was so bizarre and wild.
And it nails it. Like it nails the tone so well.
Absolutely. So I love that. I love that stuff.
All right. Awesome. So there we go. We've done another Friday the 13th here, Jimmy, and welcoming Mike. So
thank you. I could talk about this movie for another hour if we really wanted
to. So the next Friday the 13th, Jimmy, is August 2021. That's the next time the calendar hits it. We have left to talk the original Takes Manhattan and Freddy versus Jason. Those are the only ones we have not talked about.
We haven't talked about the original. Wow.
We haven't talked about the original. Do we save that for like last?
I would say, since we're kind of going out of order, maybe we should save that for last.
Yeah.
I would say let's ask Jason what he thinks.
Right.
Oh, that's good. I like that.
This was for our Flicks for Fans, Friday the 13th. Last movie I saw in the theaters before COVID was the original Friday the 13th for our little thing.
Went out with a bang.
I would say let's grab it. Let's take Jason Takes Manhattan.
Yeah,
let's do Manhattan.
August 2021.
Now that I like it a little bit, let's do it.
Excellent. So, all right, that'll take care of another episode. The first time it's been on the Brandon Peters Show. Before we check out, thank you both for joining me for this. It's always so much fun to talk about these movies. Mike, where can people keep up with your work, find you on the socials and whatnot?
You can find me on Twitter at Mike Vanderbilt. You can find me on Facebook at Mike Vanderbilt. Find me on Instagram at MA Vanderbilt. And of course, tune into the Halloweenies podcast every month. We're wrapping up. We're doing the day this episode airs, you could also go over to the Halloweenies podcast and listen to me talk about Jason Goes to Hell again. But we're also dropping our Jason X episode, which I did with a paralyzing hangover.
Oh,
and it still didn't make that movie any more enjoyable. As far as the new line entries, I am a Jason Goes to Hell guy. But you can find me over to Halloweenies podcast this year and from now on. Please come check it out. Halloween I think you guys as aficionados of the series would really appreciate the deep dives we get to do on this show.
Excellent.
Cool.
And yeah, if you want that extra hour Mike promised, it's right over there on Halloweenies. So,
Nice.
I think it's like 3 hours. I think it's twice as long as the actual fucking movie. Yeah.
Wow. So, Jimmy, you still on the internet? You still do things?
I'm still doing things.
All right.
JoeBlow.com, ArrowInTheHead.com. I have 2 shows on VidiSpace. I have Sound Scary, not Something Scary.
Sounds Scary. Sounds Scary is on Amazon Prime,
Sound
Jimmy.
Scary. And so 4 of them are on Amazon
okay.
Prime.
Nicely done.
We just had our season finale with Kevin Smith. It was amazing. And then on Friday the 13th this year, we had, and it will be free on YouTube, on the VidiSpace YouTube and the VidiSpace site. We're doing Something Stony, where me and my co-host just get stoned, and we're going to talk Friday the 13th because it's on Friday the 13th. So woohoo! Yeah.
Excellent. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon4KUHD. You can find the past Friday the 13th episodes on Cult Cinema Cavalcade podcast, including interviews with Todd Farmer, Larry Zerner, and Kyle Davis. This show returns Monday with an all-new episode. Until then, always remember to keep the positivity in your online film discussion.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios, and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at thebrandonpetershow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at thebrandonpetershow.com. The show is available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.